you today. So thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate the information that hopefully you'll be receiving today, today on the Apps Portal. As you can see right there is mentioning as far as it being the gateway for distance learning and a lot of the resources that your students will be learning today. Today, our purpose will be primarily introducing ourselves, information about the district, things that are going on, such as from nutrition services, technology, and then from there, we'll go into the apps portal itself and a little bit more information about Google Classrooms. From there, we'll talk about some of the resources that are available within those websites. And then lastly, we'll provide some contact information for you all. Just as a reminder, this is a Zoom webinar. So for example, on the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer, you'll be able to see a couple functions, the Q&A for you to send your questions directly to our TruNeighbors experts, our panelists. You could ask those questions directly to us and we'll be able to respond them along the way. You also have the chat function right there. You can send those comments as well. Since this webinar is being recorded, we have muted, disabled the ability to screen share. And so, but we'll be able to share information to you later on. And obviously, we have our interpretation in Spanish with Ms. Lupita Castañeda today. My name is Heriberto Soto. I work as a coordinator for family community engagement. You'll be able to find our information by scanning the QR code you see there down below. Also within the website that talks about the distance learning website as well, or resources as well. As we promised, we'll share this information to you, be it electronically with the presentation, materials, handout, resources, and all the information can also be found within our website as well. Today, we have, in this case, Ms. Kramer, today from Education Technology to talk about, in this case, the TRUSD apps. And then we have some staff from ECE, Ms. Lena Saunders and Ms. Rosa Rivera to talk about the services that are being provided from preschool. And then in this case, we have both Ms. Lupita and Mr. Thor as our interpreter and / moderators for today. Really quickly, just to let you know, as you know, we have created a couple of helplines. So for example, if you have questions when it comes to enrollment, when it comes to services for foster youth, for homeless, for information about health services, immunization clinics, we have our service line. So if you call that number Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m., you'll be able to find out more information you might have when it comes to student services or services to support your students. Special education has their message line and their support line. So if you have questions, you want to reach out to special education, please do call that number and please leave a message and they'll be able to follow back with you with the questions that you might have, if it's regarding their IEP, assessments, supports, or other information when it comes to special education. And obviously you have the support line. So from 12:30 to 3:30, you could call that number and they'll be able to help you. They ask that, please don't leave a message since it's a cell phone that is dedicated to providing services for your student who are receiving special education services. And lastly, we have our tech support line. So if you see that email, you write them an email. You ask them that you're having some issues when it comes to connecting to their Chromebook. In response, you'll get a ticket, an open ticket from the help desk saying they'll be working with you and reaching out as far as helping you to connect or figure out what's wrong with their password. You can also call them Monday through Friday from 7 to 5 p.m. to talk to them, and they'll be able to figure out what's going on with them, if it's a password, if it's something with internet, or it's a Chromebook itself. We want to let you know that technology obviously is one thing that we want to help and promote and have families access. So in this case, many of our schools have been provided with Chromebooks and hotspots. So if you are in need of one, the best approach we would recommend is contacting your school office and requesting as far as when it comes to a hotspot or how to access one, or asking for more information about Chromebooks, and they'll be able to help you out. If it's an issue with passwords, our best line of approach will always be your teachers, since they're the first ones to be able to help in creating an account. In addition, we want to let you know that for any kind of questions that come up, you can always contact the helpline and they'll be able to help you with that information as well. Many of these resources have been sent out to you via the Twin Rivers Family website. This is where you can find information on Google Classrooms, on the Apps Portal, on student Chromebooks, and some of the resources that are available to you today. As we know, technology is really important, and we want to support our students with distance learning. In addition, we want to let you know that Nutrition Services have created 2 different programs in order to have students be able to pick up a lunch or a meal throughout the day. So they have their school's meal to go, walk up, drive through. In this case, Monday through Fridays from 7 to 8 a.m. or 11:30 to 1 p.m. You could go and have your students pick up a meal. If you, as a parent, are going to go and pick up meals, please make sure to have some sort of proof that verifies the students you'll be picking up a lunch for. And also, they're having what's called a school meals to go bus program. So in this case, you can see right there, when it comes to twinriversusd.org/nutrition, there's information about the bus services that are being dropped off with 2 routes, one being for Rio Linda and the other being for North Highlands. I already see there's already questions coming up talking about tech support, and we're going to be talking about that pretty soon. So with that being said, at this point, I would pause myself, and I'll introduce Ms. Kramer, and I'll let her speak from here on. And
hi, I'm Jen Kramer. I am an ed tech coordinator for the district. I am basically the connection between teachers and our IT department. Our department, ed tech, provides training, so we are very used to doing this. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about our Twin Rivers Apps Portal, which is our gateway to all of our applications for our district. You can go to next slide, please. So from the apps portal, I'm going to show you a couple ways to get there, but the basic way is always going to be to go to apps.twinriversusd.org. You do not need that www, it's just apps.twinriversusd.org. From there, you'll be able to get to Google Classroom. Their students will. They can get to their student portal, Gmail. All of our students have Gmail, online curriculum, and My Backpack. All the logins are the student ID number at twinriversusd.org. And I apologize if you hear a 3-year-old in the background. He is very excited right now. All of the user IDs are the user ID number at twinriversusd.org, and then the students have their own passwords. If a student has forgotten their password, their teachers can reset the passwords, or you can call that help desk number, the support line for technology, and they can help reset passwords. If we can go to the next slide, please. So today we're going to look at 3 different applications. We're going to look at Google Classroom, we're going to look at the Apps Portal, and we're going to look at Zoom. We're actually going to start with the Apps Portal because that's where we branch off to everything else, except for Zoom. But I'll show you how to get to those. So let's start with that. Can I screen share, please? Let's do this. So when we start looking at we're going to start from the Chromebook. So this is an image of an example of one of our Chromebooks that we have in the district. And we're going to start with this little icon down here that says Apps Portal. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. I don't think I can. So right here where it says TRUSD Apps Portal, that's where the students are going to start their day and start what they need to do with our Twin Rivers applications. That will take them to this link right here, which also has our support line for technology support and the email up at the top if you're having any problems. Students can either sign in with their ID number, and their ID number at twinriversusd.org and their password, or if their teachers have set up quick cards, then they can use a quick card to log in too for the younger students. So you would hold the QR code up to the camera and that would log you in. I'm going to show an example of a student profile. This one happens to be an elementary student. They are very similar and different at the same time for secondary students. And I'll explain the differences between the two. So across the top, we have just a few things that students can do. Over here, I'm not going to click it because it is a student's data, but this is where the profile information is. So the students can, you can see the student has changed their a little icon to something that they like. And this is also where you can print out a QR code if a teacher has set it up and your child's either misplaced it or it's gotten destroyed. You can print another one out from there. QR codes are usually for K2 students, not above that. Some classes might have reasons to have them above it. The first folder we have is our red folder, and it is our curriculum folder. This is where the curriculum is going to be located. The curriculum within inside this folder is set up by grade level. So in this case, this is an elementary student, so they have elementary curriculum. So they will have their Imagine Learning for EL, they'll have their Think Central for Journeys and Go Math, and they'll have their Swan Math here. VAPA even has some art lessons, and they have studies weekly. Some schools will have ST Math, not all schools will. That is, maybe you've heard of Gigi, that would be Gigi. And then there's Pearson, and Renaissance Learning would be like AR books. So those are the applications for an elementary student. For a secondary student, they're going to have a very similar thing. They're going to have this Pearson Easy Bridge, Savas, and then they'll have other curriculum. Like if they have their AP curriculum, it will be in there. They'll have their curriculum for math, CPM. So whatever curriculum you're looking for, we're going to check that red folder first. The next folder is our yellow folder, and that is our Google folder. This folder is going to be based on grade level. So different grade levels will have different access to different Google tools. So this student doesn't have some of the tools because they don't need them, but you can see that all the Google Forms are here, and this is where you're going to be able to access your Gmail and the calendar, which a calendar can give you a view of what's being assigned in their Google Classroom. So this might be very helpful for a secondary student who has lots of classes because they'll be able to see their assignments and the due dates within the calendar. This is also where you can access Google Classroom. I'm going to show you a second way to get to Google Classroom in a second. Right here we have learning tools. These are just kind of some extra tools. Teachers may be using these, or these just might be some great like expanded learning, like Pixar in a Box is some art stuff that you can do for maybe some extra learning. Sacramento Public Library, using your ID card number, you can check out books, online digital books from the Sacramento Public Library. Mystery Science has some great activities you can use too. Sometimes teachers use those, sometimes they don't, but they are available to you. So even if it wasn't assigned, you could still go to the Sacramento Public Library. All students have a research database. This is also grade level based. So we have applications for our youngest students all the way up to our 12th grade students in adult ed that have access to research databases to do research that their teachers might be asking them to do, or to learn more on your own. Every school will have their school site, so the school is Wood Lake, but your child will have their school site within their apps portal, and that links to the website for that school. Every student has Aries. The portal for students is right here, and they can go into that portal. Our older students can use the messaging system, grades 7 through 12. The younger students cannot. My Backpack is where your teacher maybe, or teachers for your students may be assigning different applications that the teachers use that are not part of our district applications, such as like Starfall or ABC Mouse or Common Lit. So there might be some programs that teachers are specifically using with their classes, and the teachers have the ability to assign that to their students through My Backpack. It would also have things like their iReady that is assigned to them. Social emotional learning is a place for our students to get some additional support with the social emotional learning and helping with their mental well-being. So here are the applications. Down here at the backpack is called My Backpack, and that's the same as this one. It's just two different places to locate it. And then they have right here, I'm not going to click it because again, this is a student's data, but this one is their analytics so that they can actually see what they're spending time in. So we'll give them a list of the applications that they've clicked through this portal and spent time in. So that is the basis of the apps portal. I think I saw that there was a question about this one that popped up.
There was a question that was being asked as far as when it comes to students communicating with their email accounts. So how does it work for students emailing with their Twin Rivers accounts? And is it only between Twin Rivers USD email accounts?
we made some changes to this recently, but it is only between Twin Rivers. There are a couple whitelisted people who can email in, such as SATs. So the SAT prep can email the stuff that they need to do, the pre-SAT testing and that kind of stuff. So that can be emailed, but most everything else it's all within the Twin Rivers, and it's locked down to their school site. And some of them are even locked, I think, down to grade level. So, but it's very much just a school-based email. Again, very few can email in, but those are ones that, again, like SATs, things that they would need to be able to receive.
There's another questions on how do we access the analytics?
The analytics, it's just right down here and you click it. So you would sign in with your students. Your student would need to sign in, or you would need to sign in for your student, mattering their age level, and they can click this My Analytic and it will show them how long they're spending in the applications. Only if they use the ClassLink portal to get there and that they left the ClassLink portal open while using the app. So if they close the ClassLink portal, it would cut off the analytics at that point. The analytics do not track mouse movement, they just track active window. Or if a window was open, I should say. Okay. So our next thing that we're going to cover, let me go back to this one, is we are going to look at Google Classroom next. So Google Classroom, as I said, you can get to Google Classroom through the Google folder, which is the yellow folder, and Google Classroom, or on a Chromebook, students can click this icon right here, and that is Google Classroom. Let me close out one of my windows so I can find where I'm going next. Give me a second. It seems to have disappeared. Sorry about that. I had it all nice and open, but of course it doesn't want to be there when I want it to. I apologize for the delay. Is there any other questions while I am logging in that I could take care of?
There is one question that came as far as when it comes to the way that these Chromebooks are being used. Are there settings that prevent downloading certain programs, certain ways that, as far as ensuring safety, how to monitor the appropriate use of these Chromebooks?
Yeah, so we do have filtering systems put on the Chromebook so that it should be filtering out most everything that is deemed not safe. If you're finding some problems, you can reach out to tech support and let them know if you see something that you don't think is appropriate, but we do have filtering systems on them. Additionally, students can't install programs, only the district can install programs, so that helps protect the student safety. Okay, let me get back to my desktop. Was there any other questions before I move on to Google Classroom?
Some of the questions are tied into Google Classroom, so we could go into that a little bit later. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. So Google Classroom, once you click this button or you click the Google Classroom icon in the Apps Portal or go to classroom.google.com, you will see Google Classroom. And what happens is each of these are a class that students can go in. They also have a to-do list. They have the access back to their calendar and some things that they can review. If we look at a class, we're going to go in. This is one that I'm a student in. And there are three main tabs within Google Classroom. The first tab is a stream, and this is kind of like a social media type posting system where the newest post is at the top, the oldest posts are at the bottom, or I guess the former way social media used to work. So the newer posts are going to be at the top, and you can see it's going to post, if a teacher posts an announcement, so this is Mr. Machado's class, so he said, "Hi class," you'll see right here that posting for that. Some teachers may have it set up so all the assignments post on the stream. Some teachers may have it set up where the assignments don't post on the stream at all. So you can also, mattering the settings of the teacher is set up, some teachers will allow students to post to the stream, some will not, and that's at teacher discretion. Over here, it will also say the work that is coming up due for you. The next tab over is your classwork tab. Teachers will decide how they want to set that classwork tab up. They'll probably be using topics. Your topics may be by the week or by the day, or they may be into subjects. The gray topic, the gray little icons here means that something's complete. Blue means it needs to be completed. If it was a different color setting, it's basically anything that's gray is done or has been turned in. Anything that's colorful still needs attention. It might be blue, it might be orange, mattering the settings that the teacher has set theirs to. They can also reach their Drive folder from here. They can view all their work from here and go back to their Google Calendar too to see what is due coming up. So in this case, we have it set up by day. One thing that you might see is you may see a question, and then you would just have, the student would just need to answer the question that's being posted. You might see work that needs to be turned in that has attachments to it for them to view. So in this one, you can see that they need to watch the video and turn in a Google Doc. So they had two things they had to do. If you click the actual assignment, the view assignment, it's going to take you to the full assignment where you can see they have the work that they need to do, they have the video they need to watch, and then the work that needs to be turned in. And the teachers may have set up where they need to put the work on another Google page, or it might have some other assignment that they're asking them to complete, or they might need to create something on their own. If a student turns in something and it wasn't quite right and their teacher gives them the permission, they can unsubmit it. Or if they've forgot to do something, they can unsubmit it. Then it turns into a missing assignment. They can go back in and they can click the turn in button right here. So now that work says, would you like to turn it in, has been submitted. If the teacher has it set up, they can have class comments. A teacher can turn off that function though if they've decided that their students are too young or it's just not appropriate. And then you can always send private comments to the teacher. So these private comments are between the teacher and the student, and the teacher can respond. So if there's questions about the assignment or confusion, or if there's something the student's really proud about and wants to tell their teacher like, hey, I solved this fantastic math problem, look at what I did, they can have that conversation right there with their teacher. To go back, if I go back to the assignments, back to Mr. Machado's classroom, go back to classwork, you can see that it's all turned in. Again, I'll show you one more time how to turn things in. You click the view assignment, you open the document, and you press, once you're complete, you can press the turn in button. You can also add or create more information there. On the three little dots, it sometimes gives you additional information that you can choose from. So that is our classwork stream. The last stream that we have is the people stream. This is going to show who the teacher is, and if there are other students in the classroom, it will show who else is in the classroom. So that is the basics of Google Classroom. Do we have any questions on Google Classroom?
There was one question regarding as far as, let's say they're copying and pasting, or how do they go as far as completing an assignment? Is there, is it primarily just through Google Docs, or?
So that's going to be up to the teacher and what they're assigning. So some teachers might assign them to go do work in iReady. It might say complete 20 minutes of work in iReady, and then the student just, when they're done with the 20 minutes, clicks turn in. Teachers can also do assignments that don't require being turned in. It's just, they are not graded, I should say, but the students still need to turn it in. So you may see like things like that. It could be Google Docs, it could be Google Slides, it could be watch a video. So the teachers will determine exactly what needs to be done to complete that assignment.
And there's also a question regarding the parent or guardian access when it comes to Google Classrooms. How can they view as a parent or guardian whether or not their students are completing assignments? How can they be aware of it?
So you can sign up for Google Guard to get the emails, and you get to choose if you want it daily or weekly. If your teacher has that setting set up, so if your child's teacher does not have that set up, please feel free to reach out to them and ask them to set it up. You might also, teachers may not have it set up because they want you using the Aries, and they're putting everything in their Aries gradebook to show if things are missing or complete. So you're really going to want to work with your teacher to see the best way for communication.
And that goes into a question when it comes to Aries Parent Portal. How can they view, let's say, for example, the assignments that are being turned in or missing? Is that one of the functions within Aries Parent Portal?
Yeah, so you should be able to see the grade books on the parent portal. I don't have a picture of it right now, but for each of your students, you should be able to see grade books if the teachers have set up grade books, and it will show you the assignments that are missing and complete when you click into that subject matter.
And then one of the other questions that was being asked is, for example, for parents who are emailing to their daughter's Twin Rivers account, is there a reason why those non-TRUSD emails, which is from a parent, are not being sent to a Twin Rivers student email account? Is there a way they could circumvent around that, or is that based on security?
So they're trying to email to a student level account. Yeah, emails do not come in from outside sources, so there isn't a way to go around that. There are very few emails that are whitelisted. So again, like the SAT prep or pre-SAT is one example that I can think of, but otherwise, due to student security, we make sure that they don't get additional emails in their Twin River accounts.
And also, one of the questions when it came to the Aries parent portal, which is being implemented in all school sites, that parent square communication as far as messaging between schools and families, there's a way where families can message back to the school site, right? And message or email.
Yeah, so right within the app for Aries, if you're using on your phone, you should be able to send communications back. If you're on the website, you would click the communication button. It's all should be through Aries communication. If you're having trouble with it, you can reach out to the tech support line to find out, see what's going on, but it should all be within Aries. Parent Square is just the company that powers the Aries communication. So we're not actually using Parent Square, we're using Aries communication.
And there's also a really good question, Nick, that was being asked, for example, for students who are having issues when it comes to a dead link or an issue with not being able to contact the teacher based on the link or not be able to log in. What do you suggest for those students or families who are trying to figure a way to log in or get into that class?
For like a Google Classroom or for?
I believe it's for, in this case, let's say like for a Zoom link or something that is not working appropriately, based on that the teacher maybe has not hosted or is a dead link.
Yeah, so I would first try to reach out to the teacher. And if you're unable to get a hold of the teacher, you can always reach out to the office staff of the school site. Unfortunately, things sometimes happen, like emergency substitutes for Zoom links, and reaching out would be best. Also, make sure your child is checking their Google Classroom to see if the teacher has changed the link or if there's a substitute saying that, hey, I'm hosting today. So that might be part of the problem with the Zoom links. But I would first try checking Google Classroom and make sure the link is still what it needs to be. And if you can't do that, reach out to the teacher. If you can't get a hold of them, reach out to the school site.
And just a reminder, so when students are trying to log in with into Google Classrooms, what are the ways they can log in?
Yeah, so you can log in through the Apps Portal. You can log it, which a student can get to by going to this one, Apps Portal, or they can type into the Chrome browser. They can type apps.twinriversusd.org to get into it. And then they would go into the Google folder and click the icon that looked like this, or at the bottom of their Chromebook, they have the icon to go directly into Google Classroom. So either way works.
And then that should also function when it comes to the iPad, when it comes to other any kind of tablets with the function.
So if you're using an iPad or a tablet, you can download the Google Classroom link, and you can go there. You can also download the Apps Portal, which would be ClassLink is the name that powers our Apps Portal. So they're the company that we use to power the Apps Portal. You can download that and sign in, and we do have documentation for that in this presentation. Links to it.
One of the questions as far as assignments that are not showing on the schedules or showing on Google Classrooms or links, or I guess classes that are not showing up. In this case, obviously, that would be something that will contact the school site, right? Or the teachers as far as adding those.
Yeah, so I would always try to reach out to your teacher first. They're going to have the best information for you on how they're running their classroom and what they're doing. But if you cannot get a hold of the teacher, then I would definitely reach out to your school site, and the office managers or the site leaders can help you out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect. Ready to move on to the next one?
Yes,
I got a lot today.
I know.
The next one we're going to look at is Zoom. So here is our icon for Zoom. Let me close out this window. Let's hope my stuff is open this time. It is. Okay, so we're going to go to Zoom. A student will click the Zoom link right here to log into Zoom. They can also follow any links that are in their Google Classroom. And they can just click the link right from Google Class. You can't even see my hand. You can click the link right from Google Classroom. But we're going to want to make sure that our students are signed in. So to protect student privacy, we enabled that you have to be part of the Twin Rivers district to enter the Zoom classrooms. So they're going to need to sign in. So when they click the button, come back, when they click this little Zoom icon right here, it will pop up with two choices: join a meeting or sign in. They're going to need to click sign in before they join a meeting. So if your students have been having trouble joining meetings, this will help solve that problem. After they click sign in, you'll see a few choices. They can use email, but we're not going to use the email or SSO or Facebook. We're going to sign in with Google. That is going to be their same login as their student ID number at twinriversusd.org with the same password. They'll use that to sign in with Google. Then they're going to, here we go, put in that student ID number and password. And once they do that, then they can now join the meeting that they're trying to join. So they would click this join meeting button, or they would go to their Google Classroom and click the link so it fills that in for them. For Zoom, where's my other picture? See, I had nope, you're not it. Close you. There it is, it's hiding all the way back there. For Zoom, there's a few control panels at the bottom that students are going to want to know how to use. At the very bottom of Zoom right now, if you're in our Zoom meeting, you see the webinar controls. That same location is where students are going to see their controls. The first two are the microphone and the video. Red slashes means that those are off. If there's no red slash, that means that the video and the mic is on. If the teacher or the students are having trouble hearing, then you press this little up button and make sure that you're connected to the right speaker. So making sure that it's the built-in speaker, or if your child's using a headset that's a Bluetooth or wireless, that it's connecting to that. And for video is right here also. The participants box shows how many participants there are, and when they click that, they'll see that they have some choices to show how participation, give some nonverbal feedback. So they can raise their hands, they can answer some questions, they can ask the teacher to go slower, go a little bit faster. The next one over is share a screen. The teacher may have this disabled, or they may ask the students to share a screen at some point, or if they're doing breakout rooms, they might have the students be able to share their screens. So the teacher will tell the students when to use this and how to use it. The chat feature may be on or off, mattering what the teacher's preference is. They have the choice of that, and they may have it filtered where the students can only talk to the teacher, or where they can talk to each other or talk to everybody. The teacher has control over the chat function. The record function, we are not using the record function, so that will be turned off, and you probably won't even see it at all. The red button in the center, on the very right-hand side is where you can leave the meeting. So again, there's the sound and the video. They won't be able to invite anybody, the participants, and that's got some features for you. The chat box and leave the meeting are the main features that students will need to know about. Some teachers may also have the annotate enabled, which will allow the students to do some participation during a Zoom meeting. But again, the teachers will teach the students how to do that if they're going to be asking them to do it and telling them the appropriate times to do it. Are there any questions with Zoom?
There was, not with Zoom, but they were kind of asking,
Okay.
so for the apps portal, I know there's the class link, the link to apps.twinriversusd.org.
Mm-hmm.
They could access that app within the Chromebooks that have been provided by the district. Can
correct.
they also download the app? Is there an application you could download from into a non-Twin Rivers computer? Is that possible as well?
So from a non-Twin Rivers computer, an actual computer, you're not going to download anything. You're just going to go to apps.twinriversusd.org. You don't need to download anything. Just put it in the URL bar of it. Chrome browsers work best for that, but any other computer can easily access it. It is accessible from anywhere at any time.
And then one of the other questions that came about was as far as communication, messaging between the teachers and the students. You mentioned that there's settings, obviously, that is between what the teacher has as far as communication primarily only to the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Or is there settings where students can privately just message to their teacher in case they have a question that they don't want their students to know?
Yeah, so under that chat function, there's a little pop-up box that says, if it's set to everybody, it will say to everybody, or it will say to host only. And then you could send it just to the host, and it will be like a little private chat between the student and the host and the teacher.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Appreciate it. We'll be having an opportunity, obviously, to answer more questions towards the end. I'm gonna screen share from here again. Thank you once again, Ms. Kramer. So hopefully you see this presentation right here. We're gonna go now into the online learning resources. As Ms. Kramer has already mentioned, a lot of these services and programs that are available within the apps portal based on your backpack, based on, it's usually based on the school site, what the teacher has assigned in their classroom, the grade level, if the students are an English learner or they're receiving special education services. Obviously, a lot of this information is going to vary differently. And so one of the programs that we're going to go into first is going into some of the resources that are available for preschool. And so for that, we have today, we have Ms. Saunders, and then we also have Ms. Rosa Rivera to discuss and talk a little bit more about that information to you. And she'll go and walk through the website itself. I created a little bit.ly account right there. Bit.ly accounts, for those that might not know, makes the link shorter, so it's easier for you to access that information. And so with that, I'm going to put myself on mute. I'll let Ms. Saunders and Ms. Rivera introduce themselves, and we'll go on from there.
Hello, and I'm glad that you're here this evening. I'm Lena Saunders. I'm the ECE TOSA for the district, and basically TOSA is Teacher on Special Assignment. And we do have a resource for our youngest learners, and I wanted just to share it with you, and also to let you know that it's updated often. So more information that's timely will be here. There's a couple different ways to navigate the resources up here, but at the top, there's different topics, categories of resources. And then there's also, we can just scroll down through the website itself. But just to let you know some of the items that are here, that hopefully that will be helpful to you. One of them is story time. So that I'm gonna go ahead and click that one on. And that is, it has a lot of different resources here, but one of the ones that I like the best is the one that's called Unite for Literacy. And the reason why that is such an awesome site is because, as you know, children are learning about language, learning about the world around them, and the earlier that you learn language, that you can learn many languages when you're younger because you can make the sounds. But with these books, you can change either the text, you can change it to Spanish from English, or you can also change the language itself. So if I click on, for example, Spanish, takes a second. And when this book is read, it will be read in Spanish, which is a really awesome tool, especially if you speak both languages at home. Your child can be exposed to that book in both languages. So a pretty nice little tool that it has there. And so they have many different books that are there. And let me get back to where we need to be. So Then we also have an academic learning tab that has different apps that are age appropriate for our youngest learners. So I'll show you a little bit about that. I'm sorry, my fingers get a little bit nervous. So we have apps that are really appropriate for our young learners. We have Starfall. There's nursery rhymes here. So these are all age appropriate for them. PBS for kids, ABC Mouse. And many of these companies are offering services for free for our families during this distance learning time. There's Scholastic books here that are for our young readers when they're first beginning to read. So many of them are phonemic, are phonics based. We have some math sites that are definitely for age appropriate for our kiddos. They're kind of fun. So let me get, and then we have National Geographics for kids, lots of different science ones. This one here is Connect for Learning, and for our preschool program, that's our main curriculum. And Connect for Learning integrates science and reading and math, along with focusing on social emotional. And in this tab itself, there's a few little basic lessons here, like lesson plans, things that you could do with your kiddos at home. So if you're looking for some different ways to work with your child, it just talks about different stories and different activities that you can try at home, and they're numbered by week. So just to let you know that part. I get a little stuck here. So then there's this is a really nice part, is that anytime that you see this little video camera icon, that means that you can actually go into some videos that are made by some of our Twin Rivers teachers and paraeducators. So it's like it's not going very quickly. So those videos are in categories. So there's actually books. Some of them are C4L books. This one here, 10 Black Dots, is actually read to you by Dr. Julie Montali, our Director of Early Childhood Education. They have little lessons in here. So these are teachers that are doing different activities. It's either books. This one's about numbers. So that's a different resource that you can go to, that if you just want something for your children to do. This one here with Miss Susie, she is one of our teachers that is bilingual, so she does many of her lessons in both English and in Spanish, so those are different things that you can check out. And let's see. Then we also have, some activities for letters and numbers, arts and creativity. There's Let's Get Moving. So with Let's Get Moving, you'll have some different things that, especially if it's really hot outside, or maybe it's really cold outside and you want your child to get some movement in, because we know their brain works better and they need to burn off that energy. There's some different videos there. And some of them are tied actually to the books that the teachers have read. So just letting you know that is available to you. There's actual virtual field trips. So this is kind of nice, especially when we can't go out as often. You can actually take your child virtually to the San Diego Zoo and to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So these are really nice places to visit virtually, and some of them have like little webcams so they can actually see what the animals are doing in real time. We have a tab for Spanish, and then some more languages, and we have for parents, and then there's one that's just titled Just for Fun. So just letting you know that there's some different things here, like one of our TK teachers is showing our kiddos how to make parfaits. So there's all kinds of different resources for you here. If we go back to the home button, and let's see. Actually, I think that's more the Play and Learn library. Let's see. There we go. It's not going back very quickly. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think my screen is actually frozen. Okay, so just to let you know, if you scroll down, that you can get to many of those different areas on the home site, but I'm having a little bit trouble with my internet at the moment. I'm up here in Placerville and it has been a little bit unstable. So just to let you know that we do have these resources for you. It's great for your kiddos to go on there. It's usually great that if you can do some of these activities with them, but not to forget that these are young children, and the focus that we have when we are on screen, it kind of wears our children down. It actually takes a little bit more attention, a little bit more brain power. So remember to giving them some time to be a kid and get outside, do some physical activities that they do need a little bit of break from the screen as well. So does anybody have any questions? Anything that you'd like to know more about?
There was one question that was asked as far as how can they access the website. I know that there's the URL that's up here, and then
I can actually show you. So let me show
definitely.
you that if you go to the Twin Rivers website and you go over here, and there's a little arrow to scroll through different pages, and you get to the one that says for COVID-19 updates, you do read more, and you scroll down a little bit, and the one that says continue learning for students. And this, just to let you know, is not just for our pre-K, TK page, but there's also for kinder, for first grade. So there's websites for different spans of grade levels, and you would hit the pre-K, TK site. So this is for our youngest ones. So that's the best, that's the way that I usually get the way that I travel to it. So, or you could just simply do the link itself. The nice thing about it is that all of these are, anybody can access them as long as you can get on the Twin Rivers website, you can access them. You don't have to have a password or anything to use any of those types of resources. Any other questions?
There was a question regarding students that, let's say in this case, are receiving special education services, or older kids or students. This will be some of the programs or some of the resources that could, I guess would also benefit them as well, right? Like
it depends on their developmental level. So many of these for our special education children, they may be using those depending on what their interest level are, what their IEP goals are. Some of our teachers, pre-K and some of the and TK and kindergarten will be using Seesaw. With Seesaw, they can design lessons that meet the needs of those children by either changing the directions to meet their needs or the way that the child responds. So the teachers can adapt some of the programs to meet the needs of their children.
Okay, thank you very much.
You are welcome.
And with that, Ms. Rivera, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Ms. Rivera, and I provide services in the area of parent and student engagement, providing information for parent workshops, for parent meetings, as well as information on housing, prenatal information, housing and public assistance. I'm also helping in enrollment for some of our parents who are having a little more struggle in that area to navigate our basically the enrollment navigation is a little hard for some of our parents. So I'm kind of helping them one-on-one with that service as well. I also provide career events and also in the areas of mental health. I'm also available for information and providing that information for our families and students. If anyone has any questions or can contact me, that information, Heriberto was very kind enough to put that information for everyone today.
There's a couple questions, but we could go towards the end. I think what we'll do right now, we'll proceed on to the rest of the information, and then we'll go on to the questions towards the end.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ms. Rivera.
You're welcome.
Okay. So as Miss, hold on a moment, I'm having an issue right here. Okay, so hopefully you see this presentation. We're going, as already Miss Saunders has mentioned before, we have, in this case, some resources that are available within the online learning for preschool and TK, and depending on other resources. Some of these resources that were brought up were, for example, here. So your students obviously would know what happened if they're in elementary from K to 8th grade. They'll be doing this case 1 math. And then they'll be also working on, in this case, iReady. For those that were in attendance for the training we had back, those were resources that we talked about. And we'll go into detail more about, in this case, 1 math and beyond the basic facts. These are services that are being primarily within the curriculum folder. Obviously, these are textbooks or resources that they have online, as Ms. Kraber has shown before. And then there's also learning tools. So a lot of families are using Khan Academy, which has a lot of programs to help when it comes to language arts, or sorry, mathematics. And then we have, in this case, our curriculum that was brought up, in this case, in Journeys, and then some additional resources that are being used. For our English learners, we have Imagined Learning, as far as promoting, in this case, support for students who are in the process of learning English. And then also right here, we have our resources when it comes to special education. These are ones that would be able to be accessed depending on what their grade level is, and based obviously with their teachers and what programs they have assigned to them. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, I already skipped ahead. One of the things that we want to let you know, for example, we have SWAN Math, obviously, right here, apologies. Way too super excited. SWAN Math is a program that is offered for our TK to 8th grade students. These are something that we have been hosting through our variety of different SWAN Math Gathering nights. And this resources you can see right here, this will be for 6th grade. You could click on the unit. Once they click on it, it would guide into information about the terms that are being used for that lesson or that unit. The letters are being posted to promote when it comes to supporting your students. There'll be videos right here that are in English and Spanish from kindergarten through 6th grade, and then there'll be only in English from 7th and 8th grade. You have a journal, so each student, when they picked up the backpacks, they received a variety of different books and had a journal where they could write their responses on. And then typically they have where they could take a photo with their Google Classrooms and upload it to show to the teachers. And then you have your homework assignments as well. We want to let you know that a lot of these resources are available online to practice. So one of the best ways to reach is, if you see right here, there's a QR code, you can scan it, and then that'll be able to bring up the resources that are available for those grades from TK up to 8th grade. You can also go to your school's website. Down below, there'll be a quick link. You click on the SWAN Math link, and then also made a bit.ly right here. So this way you'll be able to access information about faster in case you want to go directly to those services that are being provided. As mentioned, there's these unit letters that introduces about what SWAN Math is, how you could practice with your child, your student, to promote, in this case, engagement with math, and what are some things that we're working on. And then this is information when it goes in, also in Spanish as well. And that's also available to 6th grade as well. One of the things that we talked about, and hopefully you'll be receiving information from your teachers, is about iReady. So one of the things that iReady does is a program that in some ways it assesses where their students are when it comes to their reading levels, when it comes to the language, with their English, let's say, for example, comprehension, reading fluency, and just seeing where they are at. And the process that we're doing was called a diagnostic. They'll be sending, your teachers will be sending your students a link so you could take the test and see where they are at. And in some ways, part of the lessons they'll be receiving, in addition to their textbooks, they'll be receiving lessons and activities on iReady, and then they'll be able to see how they're progressing along. There are these little links that we have uploaded that talks about what iReady is, how you could prepare for their assessment, which in this case we call a diagnostic. And then there's also little links that we'll be able to share with you also towards the end after we finish our presentation, and we'll share this information with you all. We want to let you know also that, for those that are interested with iReady, there's also on the website, the FACE website, you could click on the links that goes into detail about what iReady does and find that information too. We want to let you know that in addition, for middle school, one of the programs that is being used is Newsela. It provides students when it comes to information that is based on nonfiction, and something that's also being provided by obviously their teachers based on the assignments that are being provided. And then these are some of the resources they could do as far as doing research online with within the, in this case, the public library access, sort of like resources or from encyclopedia as well. And for our high school students, we have, in this case, obviously our resources like My Perspectives and CPM, which are the curriculum, and some of these other resources that promote, in this case, for high school students. I know that they're also, with their counselors, they're working on creating what's called a My 4-Year Plan, as far as scheduling the classes that will help them to become college and career ready, to make sure that they're on track to graduate in 4 years, that they're on track depending on what their focus is, if it's going into a 2-year university or 4-year university, or if it goes into more of a career technical program as well. And so see some of the resources as well when it comes to high school. With that, I'm going to go, and then there's a couple questions that were being asked. In this case, Ms. Kramer, one of the questions that were, we stop share for a moment, right here, was as far as Seesaw. It's one of the new programs that is being used by many of our teachers. Ms. Saunders has mentioned before. And can you talk a little bit about what Seesaw is and how it might benefit many of our students?
Yeah, so some of our teachers are using the free version of Seesaw right now. We are looking at it as a district. What Seesaw is it's a learning management system, much like Google Classroom, but it is an icon-based system. So it doesn't take a lot of reading, so a lot of our younger students are looking at it. If we do a district-wide implementation, we will make sure that we have some information for parents and do probably add more family nights on to help you guys understand it more. But the basic gist of it is that it is a learning management system, which means it's a place where teachers can assign assignments to students, and students can turn those assignments in. It is icon based to make it so it's easier for students to have limited reading capacities, like our kinders, our first graders, TK. And the teachers can do a lot with it. So it is definitely something that we are in the process of looking at and maybe bringing onto our system very shortly.
And then there's also one of the programs that I saw that people have asked about, Nearpod. Can you go into detail what Nearpod is?
Yeah, so Nearpod is also another application that teachers have access to. It's one that we are also looking at bringing onto our system. They have access to the Silver plan, which is like the freemium plan. And it is a way for teachers to be able to share lessons with students. So it kind of gives them like a slide deck that may have some interactive components with them. All of those things would be posted, even with Seesaw or any of those would be posted in the Google Classroom. And then that would be where the students get directions to use it. But Nearpod allows some interactivity with the lessons that teachers are providing. They may also be using something called Smart Exchange, which is also very similar to that. It uses Smart Notebook software, which runs our smart boards in our classrooms. And it has the same type of features where it's kind of like a slide deck of information that the teacher can share information, add recordings. They can also, for both Nearpod and Smart, they can add interactivity into those lessons.
There's a question when it comes to access we have many of our employees who are also learning about the TRUSD Apps Portal as far as Google Classrooms. So for many of our classified staff, how can they access or view some of the assignments or some of the programs without having a student account? Is there a way they could view those programs?
I'm not quite sure what that the question is. So they're asking, is there a way to get training on them, or is there a way to see what the teachers are assigning?
And a way they
Both.
could view, yeah, like the way they could see like the assignments or the programs that they could view instead of, yeah.
So you're going to want to work with your teacher that you're there. If you're like a paraeducator or someone else who is supporting classroom instruction, you'll want to work with the teacher, and the teacher can help you get in multiple different ways. If you are looking for training, please feel free to reach out to our PD department. They have resources and trainings available, and a lot of those can be attended, or the resources can be shared with our classified staff too.
There's also a question when it comes to I-Ready. I know that for I-Ready, typically is a diagnostic is there a way that parents can access or view those assignments and how much work is being done if they have a student that, let's say, is from kindergarten to 8th grade? Is there like a guardian where they could receive a summary?
I'm not sure. I would reach out to your classroom's teacher about that. I know the teacher has access to some reports on activity levels, but I don't know if there's a parent feature with that or not. I would reach out to your teacher, and if they're not sure, they can reach out to us and we can track down the right person to get the answer.
With that, I think that's pretty much the questions. Let me just go.
I did want to mention, because I forgot to mention for the apps portal, if you ever forget where it is, at the top of every Twin Rivers website, there is a link to the apps portal. It says apps portal, and you just click that. So if you ever forget how to get there, you can click that. You can go to your school's website.
There's, I guess, is there a speech to text function? Do you know that, Ms. Kramer, as far as some of these programs?
I believe our Chrome browser has a speech to text function as one of the options for an extension. That one has, I believe it has that. You'll have to check. If you're having trouble with that, you can call the help desk too, and they can assist with that. I know Google Docs has a speech to text function that can even be used for typing.
Okay. And then one of the questions that I guess for Ms. Rivera, when it comes to enrollment for preschool students, can you go a little bit information about what would be needed? How do the students sign up for those that are interested in signing for preschool? Ms. Rivera?
What was the question? Sorry.
So can you go a little bit detail about as far as enrollment for preschool? How does it look like? What would families need to know? Is that information on the website?
Yes, on our Twin Rivers website, there's actually enrollment, and basically they go on the website and let's see if you can. Yeah, so they go to this preschool enrollment and click here. And it'll give you all the details of basically what, if you're looking for half day, full day, if there's like a toddler program. And then there's two options to fill out the preschool application. So you could either do the Adobe Reader or the Google Drive. And these are all the requirements and documents needed to enroll your child into preschool. And of course, you have to submit those documents. I know that a lot of the parents are having some navigation issues, or they're just not feeling comfortable to navigate the procedures of how to enroll their child, or they have further questions. I'm happy, and I've been working with a lot of the parents right now on one-on-one. Also the parents who speak Spanish, because I can speak it fluently. So basically, I'm helping them navigate, helping them upload, learning the different types of things that they need to do in order to process the enrollment. And because we do have a lot of students who were enrolled but haven't returned back, and I think they're having issues with filling out the forms. And that's in the area that I'm helping them on a one-on-one basis, and they can contact me.
So they'll be contacting, they could contact you in regards to supporting when it comes to uploading documents. And then I believe there's also a video, right, that showed as far as how they could upload, or how do they go as far as downloading a video as well?
Yes, that's correct. So if they feel that they need to see it more on a visual level, they can look at the video, and then that will help them with the application process.
With that, let me just really quickly go back here. We want to let you know that obviously, oh, my apologies. A lot of this information that we have shared with you today, you can access it via the district website. When you go and click on it, you're able to find information that is based either on, in this case for student services, such as, let me go back here, academic. Sorry that my computer is loading slowly. So for example, ECE, you could access information right there. For our English learners as well, Spanish education. And then for our students and families, we have information about the handbook, about enrollment, when it comes to family engagement, student services, summer school programs, transportation. We also want to let you know, for example, let me go back right here, you can find as well with the parent portal, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter when it comes to updates that are being provided by the district. We also created this little link that goes into each of the different departments and information that they provide as well. We'll share that information with you all today as well later on. And with that, we want to appreciate many of you for being here today. We thank you for your time. We will be hopefully seeing you pretty soon for the next series of workshops. And with that, we'll thank you very much. And we appreciate you all. And thank you very much. And with that, we have a good day and have a good one. Take care. Hasta luego. Goodbye.